Good morning. I'm Michael Villegas with your Orange Sports Update here on Mornings on the Hill. Let's start with highlights from this past weekend. Women's field hockey came away with not one but two wins. On Friday, they made a statement versus 18th ranked Duke and won 5-1. And added another win on Sunday versus Hofstra with a final score of 1-0. Women's soccer lost Friday night with a nail-biter against third-ranked Duke. The women held on all game until the 88th minute when Duke's Maggie Graham came away with a score off a corner kick to seal the victory for the Blue Devils. Moving over to men's soccer, they shut out Colgate last night, but our Sydney Staples is in the studio to tell you about their historic win on Saturday.
Syracuse men's soccer is now ranked third in the country after taking down previously #1 ranked Clemson 2-1 on Saturday. The Tigers scored first in the 8th minute, but it was all cues from then on. After junior Giorgio Krzyzewski's goal that senior Levante Johnson assisted, Johnson scored a goal of his own, the winning one. He started the second half with a one-on-one matchup in front of frame that he ultimately finished to secure the lead. Redshirt senior Russell Shealy made two big saves to follow and matched his career high with 6 on the night. The win is Syracuse's second in a row over the Tigers and first win over a #1 ranked opponent since 2018. The Orange snapped Clemson's 11-match winning streak that dated back to November of last year. Johnson received Atlantic Coast Conference Offensive Player of the Week and Shealy won ACC Defensive Player of the Week. This is the first time the Orange swept the weekly awards. Back to you, Michael.
Thank you, Sydney. Another huge win this weekend for the Orange came on the gridiron. The football team put on an absolute show and a finish that will be the talk of the town for a while. Before we get there, let's see some key plays in the fourth quarter that led to the exciting finish. On an important 4th and 1 in the fourth quarter, the offense makes a surprising call and opts for a pass, but it pays off big time as Schrader finds Aronde Gatson for a 46-yard touchdown. On this next play, Aiden drops back and is immediately pressured. Tries to throw away, but Caleb Okechukwu is in the right place at the right time, takes it back for a pick 6 that would push the lead to 3. Purdue would also score a touchdown of their own, but that would lead to the play of the game. Down by 4 with 12 seconds left in the game, Schrader drops back with ice in his veins and takes a shot and delivers a perfect ball to Gatson yet again, this time to seal the victory and come out on top with a final score of 29-32 for the Orange. The Orange have another tough matchup under Friday Night Lights in the Dome this weekend versus Virginia starting at 7. That's it for your sports here on Mornings on the Hill.
Hurricane Ian is nearing Category 5 strength. Good morning, I'm Zach Richter.
And I'm Maddie Muschin, and that's our top story on this week's edition of Mornings on the Hill.
Our top story this hour, Hurricane Ian is hitting South Florida as we speak.
Our Mornings on the Hill reporter, Michael Villegas, joins us live in the studio with the latest. Michael?
Hurricane Ian is currently hitting the southwest Florida with winds up to 155 miles per hour, just shy of becoming a Category 5 hurricane. I was able to speak with South Florida resident Daniel Maggio to ask him about his experience.
I know overnight last night it got a little bit scary. There was some tornadoes not too far from my house. There was an executive airport that got hit with a couple tornadoes and it actually flipped over a few airplanes. So there's been some impact, but so far it's been okay.
While those in South Florida are getting hit now, some in North Florida are preparing for the storms. Florida State student Michaela Flores is worried about her family in Central Florida.
I know that this one's going to be a little tricky for them because this is it's coming directly towards Central Florida. I know that we've gone through some really major hurricanes before, but considering that they're alone for this one, it worries me just a little bit.
Hurricane Ian is expected to move up the west coast of Florida and towards Georgia in the coming days. For Mornings on the Hill, I'm Michael Villegas. Back to you. Coming up on today's edition of Mornings on the Hill, we've got details on a $100 billion micro plant soon to be built in Syracuse.
And the Iranian Student Association is taking action on campus in support of Iranians protesting right now.
Plus, we've got a breakdown on this past weekend's Move Over Festival.
All that, plus your weather and orange sports coming up on this edition of Mornings on the Hill.
Good morning. I'm Michael Villegas. Thanks for joining us on Mornings on the Hill.
I'm Jeremy Lynch. Let's get to our top story for the day.
A historic investment is coming to Central New York. It's expected to bring thousands of jobs to Central New York.
Elena Losito joins us live outside Tan Auditorium where the announcement was made yesterday.
For Mornings on the Hill, I'm Elena Losito.
Thank you, Elena. Now on campus, Liz Cheney made an appearance on Monday. Cheney was here to talk to students, faculty, and staff about everything from the January 6 hearings to gay marriage and the state of the GOP.
The conversation with the representative was hosted by the Maxwell School of Citizenship and Public Affairs. Cheney is also a member of the House Armed Services Committee and is the vice chair of the January 6 Hearings Committee. She talked about her experience.
Representative Cheney brought to campus by Maxwell Professor Sean O'Keefe, the one-time NASA administrator.
The fight for freedom continues for Iran, especially for Iranian women.
Mornings on the Hill reporter Sammy St. Jean explains how the fight for basic human rights continues here in Syracuse.
For Mornings on the Hill, I'm Sammy St. Jean.
Thank you, Sammy. Cisco and Teamsters are sitting down today for negotiations after 200 Teamster union employees walked out of Cisco Distribution Center last week. The walked out protests over unfair labor practices have been on strike ever since.
Cisco has offered some compensation, but the Teamsters union is not satisfied with what they've been offered. They'll hopefully come to an agreement today. Cisco serves more than half of Central New York's restaurants and hospitals.
And now we go over to weather with Isabel Flores reporting live from the weather deck. Isabel.
Thank you, Isabel. Syracuse Stage has announced the cancellation of the play How to Dance in Ohio. The play was canceled after several cast members tested positive for COVID.
Syracuse Stage will contact ticket holders about any cancellations. For any questions, contact the box office at 315-443-3275. The
Syracuse Veterans Creative Arts Exhibition reception is taking place today. The Creative Arts Competition showcases works of art made by local veterans. The Department of Veterans Affairs uses creative arts as a form of rehabilitative treatment to help veterans recover from and cope with physical and emotional disabilities. The reception is set to start at noon. October 19th is the National Move Over Awareness Day, and the city of Syracuse celebrated on Sunday with festival honoring lives serving through the line of duty. Mornings on the Hill reporter Jayla Pettis joins us in studio to share more about the festival. Jayla.
From Mornings on the Hill, I'm Jayla Pettis.
Thank you, Jayla. Coming up on Mornings on the Hill, the popular Marshall Street Bar is making a comeback.
Zachary Richter takes us to Chuck's. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
It's time to check for your today's weather.
Isabel Flores is in studio with a full look at your weather forecast.
Thank you, Isabel. For many years, Hungry Trucks was a popular spot on campus to grab a cold drink and cheese fries. When Marshall Street apartment complex went up, Hungry Trucks moved out.
But now a rebirth of sorts as Chuck's is coming back. Mornings on the Hill reporter Zachary Richter spoke with the owner about his plans to reopen.
I don't know about you, Jeremy. That place looks pretty cool. Have you ever been?
I've never been, but honestly, it looks really cool. Like the writing on the walls, like that's really cool.
It definitely does. I'm going to have to check it out and get my name on there. Some secret spot just for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't reveal it. You better not.
I would never.
National Coffee with the Cop Day is taking place in Syracuse again right now. It began a few minutes ago at 10 in the morning. Syracuse police officers are meeting at Salt City Coffee to take questions and listen to concerns among the Syracuse community. The event is set to take place at 509 West Onondaga Street, and officers will be there until 1 in the afternoon today. Coming up on Mornings on the Hill, which 5 Syracuse teams are in the rankings? And how will one former SU soccer player speaking out against harassment in the NWSL? We'll be right back.
Thanks, Cindy, for that important update. In baseball, the American League season home run record was broken last night. Aaron Judge hit his 62nd home run of the season on the road last night in Texas. With 62 home runs this season, Judge surpassed Roger Maris, who set the record in 1961. That's all for the Orange Sports Update. I'm Maddie Muschen.
Oh, that ball should be worth a lot of money. Thank you, Maddie. Still here to come on Mornings on the Hill, a popular musical is making its return to Landmark Theater. Stay with us for that story and more just ahead.
Entertainment reporter Micah Prine-Goldstein joins us live in studio. Micah?
For Mornings on the Hill Entertainment, I'm Micah Prine-Goldstein.
What would be your favorite horror movie after that Halloween little special A?
I mean, the judgment is open for this coming one. After seeing a lot of the Conjuring films, though, I've really come accustomed and I'm a big fan of that universe. My favorite overall, though, I would still say is the 1978 classic, the very first time that we saw Michael Myers and Laurie Strode face off.
Oh, absolutely.
Gotcha. Today's a special day. It's World Teacher Day.
It is observed on October 5th and honors teachers who play an important role in the education and development of our future leaders.
Teachers work so hard to prepare students for the future. It's more important than ever to recognize the difficult job they do.
To observe World Teachers Day, the best thing you could do is thank a teacher who made or is making a positive impact on your life.
The Moth crew would like to give a big shout out to our Professor Copeland, and to all the teachers at Newhouse.
Thank you for all that you do. So, who would you say is one of your favorite professors that you've had so far?
It's so hard to choose. Professor Copeland is definitely one of them, and that's not me sucking up. But I would definitely have to say undergrad Professor Riggs, a sales professor of mine. He just really did well in something that I wasn't interested in.
Awesome. Probably Professor Catherine Loper, who was my broadcast news writing professor that I had in undergrad, because she taught me a lot about the broadcasting industry and stuff like that, and made me really want to consider journalism as a career path for me, especially.
That's awesome.
Yeah, also, I would also want to say Professor Mike Cleland, because he got me very involved as well.
Very nice, very nice. All right, well, that's going to do us. Thank you for joining us this Wednesday here on Mornings on the Hill. I'm Michael Villegas. Follow us on social media.
And I'm Jeremy Lynch. Thanks for watching, Orange Nation. We'll see you next Wednesday at 10 a.m. right here on OTN.
Sports reporter Michael Villegas is live in studio this morning with an exciting football matchup this weekend. Michael?
Thanks, Sammy. SU football is finally back. The Orange had a much-needed bye week to rest and recover from any bumps and bruises that may have been bothering them from previous games. And this break couldn't have come at a better time as they prepare for ACC foe in 15th-ranked North Carolina State this Saturday. NC State is coming off a big win versus Florida State this past weekend. The Wolfpack fell behind to the Seminoles quickly, only scoring 3 points in the first half, but then they were able to rally and scored 16 points in the second half in a comeback win with a final score of 19-17. NC State didn't come out unscathed, though. The Pack were hit with some injuries, but the biggest blow came when starting quarterback Devin Leary suffered a shoulder injury during the third quarter, which gave backup Jack Chambers the opportunity to lead the comeback win. North Carolina State head coach David Dorn said of his starting quarterback, "Devin's super tough and he will grind. There isn't a timeline. It could be this week. It could be 6 weeks. It's really going to come down to how he recovers. We're excited the news was what it was. We're excited his season isn't over and he doesn't need surgery." Leary may not need surgery, but his status for this weekend's game is in question. The top two 20-ranked teams are drawing a crowd as over 40,000 tickets have been sold, which is the most so far this season. The game is Saturday at 3:30 in the JMA Wireless Dome, so be sure to pack the Loud House. Sammy, back to you.
Coming up on Mornings on the Hill, looking back and acting forward, how Remembrance Scholars are honoring the 35 students who died on Pan Am Flight 103.
And the CDC has new masking guidelines, why they're in effect, and what it means for Central New Yorkers.
And before the snow hits, a fall festival is back in town, and this year, it's spooky.
All that, plus your weather and orange sports coming up on this week's edition of Mornings on the Hill. It starts right now.
Good morning. I'm Sammy St. Jean. Thanks for joining us here on Mornings on the Hill.
And I'm Michael Villegas. Let's get right to our top story.
Solemn ceremonies on campus this week as we remember the lives lost aboard Pan Am 103.
This is Remembrance Week, with students asked to look back and act forward. It's in honor of the lives lost aboard the plane brought down by a terrorist bomb in December of 1988. This week has been filled with events to remember the students who died along with hundreds of other people on the plane and on the ground.
This week culminates the rose-laying ceremony at the Remembrance Wall. It takes place Friday at 2:03. It's the exact same time the plane was brought down. 11 counties in New York, including Onondaga County, are marked as having high community transmission of COVID-19 by the CDC this week.
Mornings on the Hill reporter Jeremy Lynch joins us now in studio with what this means. Jeremy? How about that weather out there?
I saw your ears this morning. They were pretty red.
It was very red. The walk was very brisk, and Florida boy, I'm not cold. And like many of you at home, I probably brought out all the winter clothes out of my closet today.
Yeah, for Massachusetts, I'm used to it, but not that used to it. Not that little undergrad in Pennsylvania.
Mornings on the Hill reporter Zach Richter joins us live from the weather deck with more. Zach?
Good morning, Michael, and up in just a bit, but Michael, Sammy, I'll send it back over to you for now.
Thanks, Zach. The Chuck Hafner Fall Festival has returned for the first time since before the pandemic. Mornings on the Hill reporter Micah Prine Goldstein joins us now live in studio. Micah?
Thanks, guys. Back to you.
Thank you, Micah. Coming up on Mornings on the Hill, how can you show support for Dating and Domestic Violence Awareness Month?
And popping tags for a cause. We'll have the details in just a few minutes. Stay here right with us for when we get back. Welcome back to Mornings on the Hill. A local thrift store north of Syracuse's proceeds go to an animal rescue.
Mornings on the Hill reporter Sydney Staples joins us live from the studio to tell us more. Sydney?
Thank you, Sydney. Time to check your weather for today.
Mornings on the Hill's Zach Richter joins us again in the studio to give us your full weather forecast. Zach?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Sammy, Michael, I'll send it back over to you.
Thanks, Zach. Governor Kathy Hochul recently approved adult-use cannabis dispensaries in the state of New York. Our Mornings on the Hill reporter Isabel Flores joins us now in studio with more. Isabel?
Thanks, guys. Sammy, Michael, back to you.
Thanks, Isabel. We're about halfway through Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Tomorrow, Purple Thursday, students are encouraged to wear purple to show their support for those victimized by relationship violence.
In the country, 1 in 3 women are victimized by domestic violence each day, as well as 1 in 4 men.
MSNBC anchor Kathy Turr spoke at Newhouse last night as part of the Deanne Gamble Gittner Storytelling Symposium. The discussion centered around if journalism can survive this partisan era. Turr is also a New York Times bestselling author, a rough draft, and memoir. You can watch Kathy every weekend at 2 p.m. on MSNBC.
Still to come here on Mornings on the Hill, Broadway seems to be on the incline and decline. Learn which shows are successful and which shows aren't.
And the Mornings on the Hill staff answer what their favorite Halloween candy is. That story more just ahead on Mornings on the Hill. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to Mornings on the Hill. The Broadway world has been changing a lot the past few months.
Our Mornings on the Hill entertainment reporter Zach Richter joins us now in studio with more. Zach?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Good morning. Sammy, Michael?
Thanks, Zach. Our executive producer, Caitlin Parisi, went around and asked us a very important question leading up to the Halloween.
Check out what the Moth crew had to say.
Favorite Halloween candy?
If I had to go chocolate, it's probably a Three Musketeer. But if we're talking a sour candy, it's definitely Sour Patch Kids.
My favorite is Reese's, but a slept-on one is Smarties.
Twix, and it's not even close. Hands down, Twix.
Reese's, not Reese's, Reese's.
I'll have to go with Kit Kats.
All of the chocolate, just all of it.
Probably Charleston Chews.
Honestly, peanut M&Ms.
Reese's Cups.
Kit Kat for sure.
Three Musketeers all the way.
Professor Copeland?
Sour Skittles.
Now, I heard you say Twix.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm gonna need you to justify it.
100% Twix. It's a cookie, it's chocolate, it's mixed together. Snickers is a close second. It's definitely a close second. I stick with my chocolates. I don't go venture out anywhere else. What about you?
You know, I said Charleston Chews because that was just spur of the moment, but I really do love Milky Way too. Milky Way is probably my favorite candy.
It is slept on as well. It is slept on as well.
Okay, all chocolates in the freezer. I don't know if you guys are in on that. Reese's, Three Musketeers, Snickers in the freezer is dynamite.
Gonna have to try that one out.
Gonna have to do it. But that is going to do it for us here Wednesday on Mornings on the Hill. I'm Sammy St. Jean. Follow us on social media.
I'm Michael Villegas. Thanks for watching Orange Nation. We'll see you next Wednesday live at 10 a.m. right here on OTN. Thanks for watching.
You may need a backup plan for your Thanksgiving turkey this year. Michael Villegas joins us live in studio with more. Michael?
November, that means Thanksgiving is right around the corner, but the sample dish may be harder to find and more expensive this year. We all know the routine of going grocery shopping. We make our list, we go to the store, grab our cart, go up and down the aisles checking off needed items one at a time. But as we head into November and closer to Thanksgiving, some of that planning may need to be moved up for the centerpiece dish. Due to inflation, avian flu, and supply chain issues this year, turkeys are in short supply and are becoming scarce on grocery store shelves. This has caused some shoppers, like Stanley Harrison, to think ahead.
I'm sure we'll try to order one earlier because we try to get a fresh turkey. So as soon as we get back to Milwaukee, which will be next week, we'll be going to the grocery store. Local grocery store has really good fresh turkeys, but I'm sure we'll have to get the order in.
As Stanley plans, he also points out another concern.
There's going to be a shortage. They'll probably be more expensive. I could do with the turkey sandwich, but I'm sure that was not what's going to happen.
With some Wegman shoppers getting their turkeys early, others aren't changing their Thanksgiving plans.
Closer to Thanksgiving. And sometimes, usually fresh, but sometimes frozen.
Fresh or frozen may be the decision, but we asked the Morses if not having turkey for Thanksgiving was on the table.
No.
No.
No, we have to have turkey.
As the staple dish of Thanksgiving is a question mark this year, Stanley has another favorite dish that he's looking forward to.
Well, one of the traditional ones is creamed onions. We also call them belly bombs, but because of the effect that they have on you.
Hopefully, that's the only effect customers feel this Thanksgiving. For Mornings on the Hill, I'm Michael Villegas.
Both candidates for New York's 22nd Congressional District, Francis Knoll and Brandon Williams, have promoted their military backgrounds. Mornings on the Hill reporter Michael Villegas spoke to local veterans to get their thoughts.
Both of New York's 22nd Congressional District candidates, Francis Knoll and Brandon Williams, served in the Navy and have played it up during the campaign. With Veterans Day coming up, local veterans are thinking about who to support on Election Day.
Veterans who have served the country have a real sense of what needs to be done.
Dr. Rick Wright, retired captain in the United States Navy, expresses his concern with the lack of veteran representation in Washington, D.C.
We have people in Congress who have never been in the military, and they are controlling the purse strings. But how in God's creation can you control the purse strings of people who need something and you've never been involved in the situation that they're in?
With Brandon Williams and Francis Knoll both serving in the military, active duty and veterans say not only their issues separate them, but their jobs and responsibilities while they were serving.
Between two veterans, I think it goes into like what they represent and then what they've been through. Because as a veteran, you can kind of look at what their career history was. That could play into their role for future politics. That can actually contribute to who I like more.
Having served their country has benefited current members of Congress who are assigned to committees dealing with military, veteran, and homeland security issues. Either way, a veteran will be serving the 22nd Congressional District after November 8th. For Mornings on the Hill, I'm Michael Villegas.
Good morning, I'm Maddie Muschin. Morning on the Hill reporter Michael Villegas is in the studio this morning to preview Syracuse's matchup against Florida State. Michael?
Thanks, Maddie. Syracuse football has a tough matchup this week going against a Florida State team that is coming off a dominant performance against University of Miami. FSU scored 6 total touchdowns and had over 400 yards on offense while holding the Hurricanes to only a field goal the entire game and would win 45-3. Syracuse head coach Dieter Baber spoke at Monday's press conference and addressed the challenge ahead this week for the Orange.
Offense is clicking. They are absolutely on fire. They've done some amazing things in a year. Defensively, they've got defensive linemen and defensive ends, and it's an exceptional defense. When you take Miami's athletes and you hold them and they don't get a touchdown, it's telling you what we're dealing with right here. It's going to be a tall task, but we got them at home, and that's the best place to get people when you have tall tasks. And we're going to see how it goes. But we know that it's a difficult game. We know our opponent is really good, and we'll be there at 8 o'clock.
This Saturday is the last home game of the season. The Orange are 5-1 in the Dome, and Coach Babers asks fans to be the 12th man and come out and support the seniors as they play their last game in front of Otto's Army. Following the game, the traditional senior walk will take place as they take their final lap around the JMA Wireless Dome. Be sure to pack the Dome this Saturday as the Orange take on Florida State with a kickoff for 8 p.m. For Mornings on the Hill, I'm Michael Villegas. Maddie, back to you. Good morning. I'm Michael Villegas with your Orange Sports Update here on Mornings on the Hill. We start with men's basketball. They had a disappointing loss last night to Colgate in the Doe. They couldn't stop the bleeding, and Colgate led by as much as 18 in the game, which was too much for the Orange to overcome as they lost to Colgate for the second year in a row with a final score of 68-80. Here's what Coach Boeheim had to say after the loss.
Colgate is a really good team, and they're a lot better than we are right now. And I think the one thing that I thought in a lot of ways, our defense had a lot of good moments. We did a lot of good things on defense. Our offense was horrendous.
They also lost this past Saturday as the offense couldn't find the end zone as they fell to a dominant Florida State team 38-3. The Orange will try to stop their 4-game losing streak as they travel to Wake Forest this coming Saturday to take on the Demon Deacons. Women's field hockey had a great season that unfortunately ended on Sunday as women fell to third-seeded Maryland 3-2 in a heartbreaking shootout, and they finished the season with a 16-6 record and stayed undefeated at home. For some good news on the Syracuse cross-country team earned automatic qualifying spots to the NCAA cross-country championships after strong performances at the Northeast Regional on Friday. The NCAA championships will take place in Stillwater, Oklahoma this Saturday. And men's soccer won the ACC championship. Sports reporter Maddie Mushton is in the studio with a few special guests to talk about the men's soccer team. Maddie?
Men's soccer clinched the ACC title on SU Soccer Stadium. Michael, back to you.
What a great season they've had thus far. And that'll do it for your sports. Jayla, back to you.